Hi, my name is Micaiah, and today we'll be talking about the power of habits. We're going to start off by talking about good habits. So, introduction. Creatures of habits. Barack Obama organized every aspect of his day as president so that routine decisions took as little as cognitive energy as possible, allowing him to focus on the high-stakes decisions. "You'll see I only wear gray or blue suits," Obama told Vanity Fair in 2012. "I'm trying to pare down decisions I don't want to make about what I'm eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make." He referred to research that shows that the simple act of making a decision degrades one's ability to make further decisions, and noted that's why shopping can be exhausting. The president's advice: remove from your life the day-to-day problems that consume most people for meaningful parts of their day. You need to focus your decision-making energy. You need to routinize yourself. You can't be going through the day distracted by trivia. Reflections on the role of habits in our intellectual lives predates Obama by a couple of millennia and more. Aristotle once said, "Some thinkers hold that it is by nature that people become good, others that it is by habit, and others that it is by instruction." In his view, habits reveal and define a person's character. When Alexander Hamilton co-authored the Federalist Papers, he mused on how to influence citizens to obey the federal laws of a republic in its infancy. He stated that man is very much a creature of habit. Hamilton theorized that if federal law permeated matters at the state level, it would become a part of everyday life. The more it circulates through those channels and currents in which the passions of mankind naturally flow, the less it will require the aid of violent and perilous expedients of compulsion. In 1887, the psychologist and philosopher William James wrote about the same tenets that Obama utilizes in Habit, a brief treatise on how our behavioral patterns shape who we are. According to James, habits shape what we often refer to as character and personality. When we look at living creatures from an outward point of view, one of the first things that strike us is that they are bundles of habits, wrote James. In wild animals, the usual round of daily behavior seems a necessity implanted at birth. In animals domesticated, and especially in man, it seems to a great extent to be the result of education. The habits to which there is an innate tendency are called instincts. Some of those, due to education, would by most persons be called acts of reason. It thus appears that habit covers a very large part of life. James begins his treatise with a scientific and psychological account of the brain and neurobiology, touching on the notion of neuroplasticity a century before it became a hallmark of modern neuroscience. And he presents this definition: plasticity, in the wild sense of the word, means the possession of a structure weak enough to yield to an influence, but strong enough not to yield all at once. Modern neuroscience defines neuroplasticity as the ability of neural networks in the brain to change through growth and reorganization throughout an individual's life. These types of changes include systematic adjustments such as cortical remapping, which affects our sensory and motor systems, circuit and network changes that result from learning a new skill. Psychological stress and environmental stimuli are all examples of neuroplasticity at work. Neuroscientists once thought that plasticity only manifested during childhood, which makes James's work so groundbreaking. But research in the second half of the 20th century found that although the developing brain is more amenable to change than the adult brain, there are still many aspects of the adult brain that are plastic throughout one's life. James underscores the importance of building habits early through education. We must make automatic and habitual as early as possible as many useful actions as we can and guard against the growing into ways that are likely to be disadvantageous to us, as we should guard against the plague. The more of the details of our daily life we can hand over to the effortless custody of automatism, the more our higher powers of mind will be set free for their own proper work, wrote James. There is no more miserable human being than one in whom nothing is habitual but indecision, and for whom the lighting of every cigar, the drinking of every cup, the time of rising and going to bed every day, and the beginning of every bit of work are subjects of express volitional deliberation. Modern-day researchers would agree with James that just because the adult brain can change and shift doesn't mean that it's easy to do so. Old behaviors can be hard to shift and new behaviors take time to develop, but that does not mean that the endeavor is out of reach. In Good Habits, Bad Habits, the social psychologist Wendy Wood builds the idea of automating one's habits, partly as a way to protect and exert control over our subconscious selves. Scientists have only recently begun to unravel the multifaceted nature of ourselves and to identify our resulting biases and preferences. With this understanding, we can never fully undo these influences, but we can account for them when we act. Our own behavior springs from some of the most mysterious, deeply hidden, and until recently unrecognized sources of irrationality. Wood writes, we need to stop overestimating our rational selves and instead come to understand that we are made up of deeper parts too. We can think of these other parts as whole other selves just waiting to be recognized and giving the command to get to work. Wood explains that humans have the tendency to overestimate the decision-making aspects of habits, and that instead we ought to channel the brain's plasticity to make changes that become automatic. A brain scan of someone learning a task shows activity in the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus networks associated with decision-making. But when a learned task is repeated, the brain activity on the scan in the areas of the putamen and the basal ganglia is what Wood refers to as the rudimentary machinery of our minds. That is where a habit is formed. To convince the brain to update its models of the world and one's reactions to that world requires repetition. Your morning commute is a accumulation of habits formed throughout constant repetition. When you get into a car, you don't need a second thought about buckling the seatbelt. Your hand places the key in the ignition without your deciding to do so. Checking your blind spots is a survival mechanism that is second nature. If you want to rewire your brain to create the habit of walking at 6 a.m. to meditate, there is no way around your having to repeat the process over and over until you do it without having to exert the willpower to compel yourself. Not only does automating this feel-good action make sure that you actually do it each day, but the habit frees up your energy to concentrate on other things that require conscious attention, such as goal setting for the day ahead. Habits lead to a better life. It's not just about productivity, writes Wood. You hear people often complaining that they overthink things. We all do sometimes. It can lead to anxiety and become a real challenge to getting anything done. She notes that a focus on mindfulness has cropped up in recent years to oppose the overthinking menace. Wood explains that the idea to be thoughtfully aware without losing yourself in your head, to be mindful you are focused on the here and now, and not worry about the upcoming challenges of ruminating on past failures or mistakes. Habits are perhaps the most natural and effective way humans have to achieve this non-evaluative state of mind, writes Wood. A habitual mind is a benignly thoughtless mind. It is a mind that sorts tasks into their proper places, it delegates, it sits at the intersection, and assigns routes. It is not obsessed with figuring out when you fall asleep, as you might have tried to do so as a child. Instead, it just responds to the sleep cues in your context as you drift off, usually. Chapter 1. Good Habits. The right daily rituals can improve our health, ease our minds, and give our families a shared sense of belonging. Small changes, big results. From a morning plank to a garden meditation, little moves can bring peace, not to mention a better grasp of remembering where you put those darn sunglasses. Every night after dinner, Audrey Slatter has a little ritual. She kicks her husband and teen daughter out of the kitchen and listens to the podcast while she cleans up. Here's the thing, Pod Save America and the Axe Files are some of my favorites, says Slater, who lives in Madison, Connecticut, and is a wardrobe stylist at Live with Kelly and Ryan. It's amazing. I now actually look forward to doing the dishes. I also do a little something that has made a world of a difference in my day. It's nothing profound or spiritual, but it's plenty satisfying. During the 4 dead minutes while I wait for my oatmeal to cook, I quickly unload the dishwasher. Boom, done. One task eliminated. Before I've even had breakfast. As it turns out, micro steps can play an oversized role in keeping us calm, healthy, productive, and happy. Small habits are within our control and can make a huge difference in our well-being, says Gretchen Rubin, the host of podcast Happier with Gretchen Rubin and the author of Better Than Before. What I learned about making breakfast the everyday habits of our life. Take sleep, she says. If you go from getting 5 hours of sleep at night to 7 hours, you might see a dramatic improvement in how you feel. Adding a small positive habit is a particularly doable way to boost your sense of fulfillment. A large portion of our happiness is under our control, says Sonja Liebermisker, PhD, a professor of psychology at the University of California, Riverside. While both small habits, like keeping a gratitude journal, and big changes, like getting out of a bad relationship, will increase feelings of joy, the little moves have one definite advantage. They're more in reach. Often, the big things, changing jobs, moving cities, having a baby, are not very controllable or easy to accomplish. Liebermisker points out, but the small things you can start working on tomorrow. For many people, the best micro steps are one of that are fast and transform dreary tasks or dead time into moments of escape or accomplishment. Try one or more of these 8 ideas to see if it proves to be a game changer in your daily life. Hold one plank. I'm not the only one making lemonade out of dead time. Kathy Cavender, an editor in Norwalk, Connecticut, noticed that she had boring, wasted minutes every morning while she waited for her hair to air dry enough to finish it with a blow dryer. So she got on the floor and held a plank. I started doing a 1-minute plank and 30-second side-to-side planks on each side. At the beginning, I could hardly hold a side plank at all, which was always embarrassing in yoga class, she says. Her mini routine has already made a difference. She is happy to report I'm up to 1 minute 50 seconds on holding my plank. Slipping strength training into your day ensures that you won't neglect this key health move. Try a plank hold challenge or do as many push-ups as you can while waiting for, say, your partner to get out of the shower or your oven to preheat. Or keep 5-pound hand weights in a basket by the sofa and do 3 sets of 10 biceps and tricep curls every night while making your way through Killing Eve or catching up with CNN. Short cardio sessions also get the job done. If you mix in bursts of high-intensity movement, a study in the journal PLOS 1 found that this fast and furious approach was just as effective for cardiorespiratory fitness as much as longer durations of moderate exercise. Over a 12-week period, the researchers compared 2 groups of sedentary adults. One group did 10-minute workouts, including 1 minute of high-intensity exercise 3 days a week, and the other group did 50 minutes of moderate exercise 3 times a week. The study found that the people doing the quickie sessions got the same cardio bang for the buck as the people doing longer workouts. Replace mindless scrolling with 3 minutes of Zen. So we often turn to our devices to fill waiting time, whether we're stuck in line at Starbucks or on hold with Visa. Think of these few minutes as found bonus time for you, recommends Alexis Hazelbergen, a time management and productivity coach in San Francisco. Use that time to do a few minutes of deep breathing. You can also use a meditation app such as Calm or Headspace. These options can feel so much better than the mindless scroll on social media, she says. Note the small slices of joy. You love your first cup of coffee every morning, but do you take a second to notice how much you love it? Shade Men Tang, the author of Joy on Demand, wants us to register the fleeting moments of pleasure already in our day. Tan is a former Google executive who created a mindfulness program to help supremely stressed out Silicon Valley staffers feel calmer, and then went on to write books and give a TED Talk. By mentally logging the small good stuff, we train our brains to see these slices of joy already in our life, a concept central to the Buddhism-inspired mindfulness movement. There is even Western science behind this idea. The hallmark of being a happy person is to experience daily bursts of positive emotion. So anything you can do to increase the frequency of these boosts will contribute to overall happiness, says Lumbernuski, who has spent decades conducting research on positive psychology. Research suggests that trying to savor little things each day, the melody of a song, the smell of a flower in your garden, the taste of your morning coffee, can improve your mood and well-being. There are happy little moments everywhere. That refreshing first sip of iced tea on a hot day, the pleasure when you first step outside and the sun hits your skin, the way your body relaxes when your partner gives you a hug or your pup hops on your lap. Rather than letting these pleasant happenings pass unnoticed, Tan wants us to tell ourselves, I'm feeling joy now. Why bother? We have a bias built into our brain that makes us hone into what is wrong in our environment. Experts say this radar has helped humans survive. Our brains are wired to look for threats in order to stay one step ahead. The trouble is that we end up feeling like there is danger everywhere. By forcing ourselves to catch and catalog the good, we are actually training our brains to notice it automatically. Get an all fix. It's hard to believe, but in just a few minutes a day, you can treat yourself to awe, a complex emotion that helps you feel something bigger than yourself. According to research by Dr. Kettler at the University of California, Berkeley, and other social scientists, regularly experiencing awe can improve our mood and make us feel more connected. And while you may think you need to visit the Grand Canyon or stand in front of Michelangelo's David to get that sense of wow, everyday things have the power to induce goosebumps. Sign up at poets.org to have a poem delivered to your inbox every day. Take a work break for 5 minutes each day to gaze at one great work like Monet's Blue Water Lilies in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. Through Google Arts and Culture, if nature is what moves you most, follow the Smithsonian Zoo or Cincinnati Zoo on Instagram to feel overcome by the range of majestic and adorable animals, or soak in the wonder of nature right in your neighborhood or backyard. A chipmunk may not be panda cute, but stopping to watch him scurry around can feel pretty amazing anyway. Be micro-organized. Could there be a more universal goal than to be more organized? It's a great one to attack the micro level, because really, who wants to spend a weekend sorting all your stuff? The 1-minute workaround: don't put it down, put it away, says Lisa Dooley, an organizing coach in Cohasset, Massachusetts, and the author of More Space, More Time, More Joy. Staying organized is really about creating little daily habits that then have a positive effect on health and happiness. When you use anything, the phone charger, screwdriver, car insurance policy folder, put it back in its proper home so you can find it when you need it next time. This one step can save you time, stress, and money, she says. What about keeping track of your keys, wallet, sunglasses, those essentials you can't go out without? Organizer Sarah Grant, founder of B.net Studio in Toronto, swears by setting up a designated place close to the door. Think open baskets, hooks, a tray, or cubbies. We have one basket for adults and one for kids, and hooks for each, says Grant, who is a mom of 2 boys. That way, it's easy to stash your essential items as soon as you step in the door, and keep them handy for when you need to step out again. Add a food ritual. Let's say you want to drink more water every day. It's a simple habit, but it can feel tough to put into action. But science suggests that if you elevate the glass of water in your mind by creating a ritual around it, the action will feel like something to savor and value more. Research published a psychological science tested whether rituals around food, I like swirling wine in a glass before drinking it, stirring your tea and clinking the spoon on the side makes us savor food more. The researchers devised a series of experiments. In one study, half the people were told to unwrap chocolate bars a certain way before eating, while the other half were told to relax for a short time and then eat them any which way. The group with the ritual savored the bar more and said they would pay more for it. You're probably thinking, yeah, that's chocolate. Try that with a carrot. Well, the scientists did, and the results were the same. So back to that goal of drinking more water. By creating a procedure around filling your water bottle or glass, you'll help reinforce the habit. Maybe you always use the same pitcher and glass. It may sound hokey, but it can help you cement the habit. Rework your vocabulary. Studies show that when dieters say I don't rather than I can't, they feel less deprived. Why? Because it changes the situation from a feeling of deprivation to one of choice. Along these same lines, regularly using the phrase I choose or I get to helps shift us into a happier state. Says life coach Patricia Love, when you say I choose to work out or I get to go to work, it gives you an uplifting feeling of gratitude, Love says. It takes your mind to I'm healthy, I have the means to go to gym, I have a beautiful neighborhood to run or bike through. Adding the right words are simple changes anyone can do to create big changes in their life, she adds. Have a pre-bed snooze button. We all want to get more sleep, but it's surprisingly tough to do. One trick, Rubin says, is to use the strategy of convenience. Often, we put off going to bed because we don't have the energy for all that prep work. Removing contact lenses, washing your face, changing into pajamas. Try doing this. Do your pre-sleep ritual 1 hour before bedtime. Then you're like, oh, it's 10:30. I can just go to bed right now. I don't have to go through a long list of tasks. You may want to try what Rubin calls the strategy of safeguards, which means troubleshooting for what you expect could go wrong. For instance, maybe you get so immersed in watching TV that you lose track of time. Solution: set an alarm. Just like that, you have an alarm to wake up, set an alarm for, say, 10:15, it goes off, then you hit the snooze alarm, and just like you do in the morning, and then it goes off again, and then you're like, okay, it's 10:30 now. Am I in bed? Keep in mind that you need to do more than really want a good night's sleep. You have to take these kinds of small steps to achieve it. With habits, people make the mistake of thinking that if they just whip themselves into frenzy of desire, then their actions will follow. But that's not the case, Rubin says. The fun way to make fitness stick. Want to shape up? Turning exercise into a game can get you into the routine for life. In our quest to get fit, we have come to accept that in order to find success, we must be miserable. We must endure punishing workouts, choose gyms that promise no pain, no gain, and sign up for hot yoga and spinning that leaves us feeling, well, hot. We buy fitness tanks emblazoned with mantras like, it's my workout, I can cry if I want to. But what if we're doing fitness all wrong? There's growing evidence that to get into a healthy exercise groove, we might want to make our workouts a little more fun. One study of people who were previously inactive and started an exercise routine found that those who enjoyed their activity were more likely to stick with it. Anything that is good for you, a should, and then is tweaked to make it fun. A want becomes a must, says motivational expert Michael Strahilovitz, a professor of behavioral economics at the University of Wollongong in Australia. Making exercise fun, transform it from being a chore you can skip to a healthy addiction you must do. Think about it. When was the last time you saw a bunch of kindergarteners on a playground groaning, ugh, I have to keep playing on these monkey bars? They don't, because who wants fun to end? Whether you enlist a buddy to accompany you to workout classes, play Dance Dance Revolution in front of your TV, or join the plank challenge at the local yoga studio, you'll be stimulating the reward center of your brain and increasing the odds you'll want more. And more is what we all clearly need. The Department of Health and Human Services recommends that adults get 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise each week. The following are some strategies to transform an exercise habit into something you enjoy. The buddy system. Fitness experts report that one of the best ways to cement an exercise habit, which takes about 6 weeks according to Canadian research, is to do it with a friend. That makes sense. Friends keep us accountable. We don't want to let someone down, so we're less likely to blow off that workout. Friends also relieve the boredom factor. You can laugh about the crazy woman in front of you at SoulCycle or the man you saw running in his dress shoes. And having someone by our side can ease our everyone in the gym is looking at me anxiety. Research shows that we release more endorphins when we work out with others, and endorphins are force multipliers for fun. Another appeal of buddy workouts: they feel like a treat. It's time with a person we like, after all. A small vacation from daily routines, says health and wellness coach Carol Phillips, author of 52 Simple Ways to Health and founder of Health Design, a New Hampshire-based company that organizes wellness plans for companies. We're social creatures, she says. When we plan to exercise with other people, we tend to look forward to it, feel an obligation to show up, and view it as a time off from our working lives. Hikes, walks, and runs go that much faster when you're LOLing about last night's episode of your favorite reality show instead of OMGing about how you still have half a mile to go. Here's a tip to up your game even further. Consider buddying up with a friend who is in better shape than you are. Friends influence our behavior in all areas of life, and much like your friend who was always persuading you to cut class in middle school, your workout partner can be a determinant if she likes to blow off the gym for rich coffee drinks and muffins. But as with your other friend who was forever encouraging you to join all-night group study sessions, you can get a lot from following the lead of someone who is seriously committed to physical fitness. In fact, a 2016 study published in the journal Obesity found that the greater the number of fit friends who entered an obese person's world, the more weight that person tended to lose. What makes this kind of collaborative fitness regimen easier is that there are so many ways to friend up for physical fitness. Train for a 5K together, set a weekly date to go to spin class, meet for an after-dinner speed walk, play tennis or squash. That may seem very elitist or madmanish, but hitting some balls around might be just the break you need from your solitary slog on the Stairmaster. And it can be emotionally satisfying to smash something after a long day of dealing with annoyances. If you don't have a sporty buddy in your life, you're not doomed. You can join a team and make new friends, especially with a little online help. Squads, an app invented by Johns Hopkins student, plugs you into open gyms and pickup games nearby. It also lets you set up your own games and put out a call for players from one or more basketballers for a 5-on-5 to a partner for a doubles tennis match. An online community, Zog Sports, lets people in 7 cities get in on local pickup games of soccer, basketball, and other sports. You compete, you win. Turns out, being a sore loser can be a good thing. Adding the element of competition can get you more hooked on working out, according to a University of Pennsylvania study published in Preventative Medicine Reports. Researchers created a fitness initiative and sorted students into 4 groups with different interpersonal dynamics: 2 with a competitive element, 1 with a support element, and 1 control. They were all encouraged to attend workout classes. At the end of 11 weeks, the 2 groups with a competitive element, 1 group faced off in teams, and the other individually had 90% higher attendance rates than the control group. And the friendly support group, social comparison, the researchers concluded, can be surprisingly effective for motivating desirable behaviors. Jennifer Safray, owner of Emerald's Yoga in Pembroke, Massachusetts, has seen this effect in action at her studio. We gamify our practice with monthly challenges, she says. The contests range from a plank a day challenge to attendance competitions. In all of them, participants are facing off against themselves, working to beat their last performance, so everyone who completes the challenge wins a prize. There are those who say this cheapens yoga. Safri says, but I think it's short-sighted. The way she sees it, her game board is a win-win. The students, all adults, love putting up stickers and checking their progress. They get the benefit of more practice, and I get the benefit of keeping my business healthy. Well, that's all for the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye!